On September 29, 2019, Deputy James and Deputy Zhang from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office in Tennessee, a potentially dangerous engagement unfolded due to their reckless actions. The incident began when the officers responded to a call regarding a package theft based on doorbell camera footage. The complainant, Mr. Aaron Branch's girlfriend's mother, alleged that a neighbor had taken a package from her porch. Upon arriving at the scene, Deputy James and Deputy Zhang engage with the witnesses, specifically Ms. Vernita Eccles, who identified the neighbor across the street as a suspect. She further mentioned that the neighbor might have a bench warrant for her arrest. Within minutes, the officers made their way across the street to confront the neighbor, seemingly without validating the claims made by the callers. Surprisingly, Deputy James immediately announced his intention to arrest the neighbor without properly investigating the situation. It was during this engagement that Mr. Branch, the original recorder of the incident, arrived on the scene while openly carrying a firearm on his hip. He questioned the officers about the package's ownership, leading to Deputy James ordering him to disarm for officer safety. However, Tennessee law permits citizens to bear arms for self-defense, and there's no requirement to disarm themselves around officers unless there's a legitimate safety concern.
Yeah. Okay, now that box that came off the front porch, did y'all see a name on that box by any chance?
We didn't get a chance to look at it because it was stolen before we got a chance to.
Now, if we show you guys what the box looked like. How you doing, sir? Are you an officer, sir?
Put your hands up, man.
I don't need to put my hands up.
This is for officer safety.
I don't need to put my hands up.
Put your hands up, dude.
The situation escalated as Deputy James unholstered his firearm, which Mr. Branch rightly challenged. This action was unnecessary and potentially dangerous escalation, as Mr. Branch was not displaying any behavior that indicated he posed a threat to the officers. Deputy James cited a state statute to justify his actions, but his interpretation was flawed considering the circumstances. Furthermore, the officers threatened to arrest Mr. Branch and his girlfriend for disorderly conduct, despite being on private property.
The proper procedures, you're supposed to ask if he has his handgun permit.
You don't know. Okay.
Yes, I do.
Hey.
Yes, I do. We went to the class. Yes, I do.
I don't need to keep my hands up. I committed a crime.
Yes, put your gun away.
This is for officer safety.
You asked to see his permit.
Ma'am.
Okay, can he just step in the house then?
No, I need that car.
We're not talking to you,
I'm
man.
in my car right now.
We're not talking to you right now. We're not talking to you
We'll go
right
in the
now.
house then.
I don't need to go in there. I haven't committed a crime.
You have a permit.
I do have a permit.
Where's your permit?
Amber, record Officer James. We're gonna make a start today. I'm gonna make a start at James today. I'm gonna make you a start, James. I'm gonna make you a start today.
Step away, man. We're not talking to you.
Okay.
Let me see your permit. Keep this arm up. Let me see your permit.
I don't need to keep anything. I can do whatever the
This is officer safety. No, sir.
Do whatever you do. Do your
Police officers
are.
Police officers are in your presence.
The First Amendment protects speech on private property, and the officer's threats infringed upon this right. Legal precedents underline the special protection for personal liberties within one's home. The officer's subsequent behavior with an unidentified woman, initially detained due to the reported theft, raises Fourth Amendment concerns. While reasonable suspicion justified her initial detention, the officers extended her handcuffed detention in a police cruiser even after she provided evidence that could have dispelled their suspicions. Courts have ruled that such extended detentions could transform investigative stops into arrest, violating the Fourth Amendment.
There it is.
Okay.
That's
You
not
go
how
to law
the
school?
works.
You
I did go to law school.
Okay, you passed the bar?
I did
So
pass
you're
the
a
bar.
lawyer.
I am a lawyer.
Okay.
I don't have to
Just
disarm
go in the
myself.
house.
That's not how the
Just
law
go in the
works.
house.
Come here.
I'm not
Come here.
going anywhere with
Come
you.
here.
Just go
I
in
have
the
not
house.
committed a crime. They know I haven't committed a crime.
Okay,
They know I have not
Amber.
committed a crime. Amber, I want you to record them. I'm gonna make stars out of both of them. James
ahead.
and Zing. I'm gonna make big stars out of them. I love tyrants. I love tyrants like yourself.
Either you step inside or you go to
I'm
jail.
a private. I'm a law-abiding citizen.
5, 4,
I'm not your child.
Wait, hold on, wait.
I'm not his child. Bro, you're not scaring nobody with that fucking permit.
question or whatever.
You're not talking about.
Despite these issues, Mr. Branch managed to de-escalate the situation through assertive dialogue. He challenged the officers' actions while maintaining composure and asserting his rights. Eventually, the officers released the detained woman, but not without her being held for an excessive duration.
Put your hands behind your back.
Stop!
Put your hands behind your back. Okay, well,
The video shows body cam footage from a confrontation with police in Brookings, Oregon. Jennifer Gaiman, A disabled lady was detained by police for riding her mobility scooter on the sidewalk without a helmet. Jennifer, however, was well within her rights to use the sidewalk for her scooter because she is a disabled citizen. The cops, alas, had a different take on the situation.
Okay, well, I'm trying to get my camera on real quick. Okay, so I'll let you know, conversation being recorded. Are you able to turn that music down a little bit just so we can talk better? Okay.
I just want to go home. It's freezing.
It is
Yeah,
cold.
why are you stopping me then? I've been riding this thing for over 2 years now.
I'm gonna explain it to you in a second. We're stopping you because you're on a sidewalk with it.
Yeah,
you rode through a crosswalk.
It's a legal thing on the sidewalk. Look it up. It's a mobile scooter. It's a fucking mobile scooter.
Okay.
It's an electronic scooter.
Yeah, it's a mobile scooter. Okay, do you understand what that means? It's my mobile scooter. It's how I get around. I don't have a car.
Quickly, Jennifer called the police and explained that she was a pedestrian because of her scooter. The uninformed officers, however, continued to approach even after she explained the situation. Officers kept calling it an electronic scooter, most likely so they could write her a ticket.
Yeah, it's like Iris. He goes on. Yeah, because I'm getting pissed off.
Why are you getting?
Because I want to go home. You guys are pulling me over for no reason. It's like Iris. It's like Iris. You know Ira, the blue guy with the guy's right there? It's exactly like his, except it's got 2 seats. That's all it is.
It's electronic
Why?
scooter.
Exactly.
Do you deny that it's electronic scooter?
It's not electronic scooter, and I can ride it on a sidewalk.
Is it gas powered?
No, it's not gas.
Okay.
I
So
gotta
it's
go.
electronic.
I'm cold. You guys are cold.
You're not free to leave.
Yeah, I am.
No, you're not.
Yeah, I am, because you legally cannot stop me.
You're lawfully detained right now. You are
For what?
literally on a lawful
For
traffic
what?
stop. You see those red and blue lights?
For what, though?
Are you going to let me explain it?
Yeah, because you don't have a reason to. You guys are legally, you're taking my disability act and you're throwing it in the garbage. This is my disability scooter. This is how I get around, and you know that. You've seen me many times around this town riding it.
Okay, are you going to let him explain to you why you're actually on a lawful traffic stop?
Okay, so we stopped you because it was actually looked up before, okay? You can't ride this in a crosswalk and on the sidewalk.
Are you kidding me? So the mobile scooters that ride around here, all these old people can't ride them on the sidewalk?
Nope, not according to the Oregon Department of Transportation. I'll look it up for you, just so you can know that I'm not messing with you and he's not messing
Okay, so I'll let everybody know that you guys have bad laws in this town and that people that have disabilities. No, you know what? That's disabilities. Okay? These people ride these scooters for disability. You want them riding on the streets so they get hit by a car? You kidding me?
I don't make the rules.
Yeah, well.
Grab some information.
Jennifer was lawfully arrested and police asked her to see her identification before releasing her. Jennifer was at first hesitant to give her ID, but in the end she did so to speed things up. Several tickets, mostly for driving offenses, were written for Jennifer by the police over the course of around 15 minutes.
Yes. I'll double check just to make sure since it didn't bleed through.
Jennifer was followed by the police all the way to her house, where they remained stationed the entire time. Jennifer was forcefully arrested after police arrived at her garage and filed charges of disorderly behavior and eluding arrest.
Put your hands behind your back.
Stop!
Put
Stop!
your hands behind
I
your back.
didn't do anything wrong. I was gonna take them home.
Okay, well, we disagree on that. You're under arrest.
You're happy you're not gonna get arrested, aren't you?
He wasn't even there.
I'm getting arrested because I pissed myself, and this is a mobile scooter. I've been riding this around town for a month, years, and you guys know it.
Jennifer was shockingly found guilty on the felony counts and given a 5-day jail term and an 18-month probation period at first. Jennifer, however, decided to launch a lawsuit against the city of Brookings and appeal her conviction on the grounds that she had been wrongfully imprisoned and that her rights under the Disability Act had been infringed upon. The judge sided with Jennifer this time. Her conviction was overturned, and she received a $500,000 payout from the city of Brookings. Now let's move on to our next video. In this video, an unidentified neighbor calls the police to report a domestic disturbance, and the officer's response is caught on camera. The caller said that their 87-year-old mother is being verbally abused, so the police were sent to the scene. However, the reality of the issue turned out to be more nuanced and complex than had been anticipated.
Your mother.
Do you believe, after hearing my mother, that she is in danger?
I heard arguing, and I need to make sure everybody's okay inside the house.
What did you hear? What was said?
I just heard yelling. I couldn't hear
You
what
just
that
heard yelling, and did I not explain to the yelling? Did she not explain to you the yelling? She told you she's fine.
Okay.
She's sitting on the toilet, and you have to go and see her.
I do, yes.
The police arrested the man, who we'll call Papa Meatball, outside the residence. They told him that he had to see proof that someone else was there. The neighbor walks up to the conflict and gives a very brash but honest justification. When there is a domestic disturbance, the patrol supervisor is the first person to be absent from the response. Any officer, regardless of jurisdiction, who responds to a domestic violence call involving another officer.
Right. Go get somebody now.
1232 call? Can you start A to check on the female? We'll have an ambulance come.
You'll have the ambulance come in and look at her, too.
The ambulance will be here as well.
Right. And you're going to pay for it.
Okay. That's not necessarily what's going to happen.
Well, I'm not paying for nothing. My mom's not paying for nothing because you are forcing this upon us. This intrusion is so fucking unnecessary. You have no idea how hard it is to take care of old people.
I'm sure it's extremely difficult. But I just have a responsibility to make sure everybody's okay, and that's why I'm here.
You don't have the responsibility. A medical person has a responsibility.
I have to ensure that there's nothing...
Is required by the model policy on police officer domestic abuse to immediately request the presence of a supervisor from the responding agency. The policy stresses the difficulty that the responding officer faces if left to respond alone or with police of the same or lower rank as a suspect officer. This problem is easily solved by the arrival of a superior commander. Both cops involved in this event were patrol officers and not supervisors.
I'm a caretaker. My mom is 87 years old and she's deaf. And I have to yell at her when she's in the shower to get her to hear my instructions. So the neighbors called the police on me because they think I'm screaming and damaging my mom. And they won't take my word for it. I opened the door. They asked my mom if she's fine. She said, yes, I'm freezing because I'm naked on the toilet. Yet they won't take her word for it either. And I'm not about to let a cop in my house to see my naked mother. Do you understand what's going on here now? Have I explained myself?
At the same time, they asked if they might come in and see how Mom was doing, but Papa Meatball said no. If permission is granted, the police can enter and search the property in question as part of the standard routine for police responses. Police must independently verify the presence of bruises and other signs of physical altercation in order to establish probable cause. As the supervisor is being briefed on the issue, he learns that his 59-year-old paraplegic brother also lives at the residence. It's now obvious that shouting alone isn't enough to warrant an arrest. As a result, the police have no grounds to interfere or resort to physical force. Medical personnel arrive shortly after, and the supervisor lets them in to check on her mother. He briefs them before the examination so that they may better understand what they're looking at.
Rollo! I only need one of you. Rollo, in the house.
Oh, no wonder he's not coming up home over.
Yeah.
Papa Meatball's tone of seriousness and irony in evaluating the cops is hard to argue with because he seemed to be correct. We believe the police should have let the caretaker dress his 87-year-old mother before taking her away from him. There have been no developments or court proceedings reported since this video was made. However, the police could be held liable for obstructing the caretaker's ability to do his job if medical personnel uncover any symptoms of cold or flu caused by the mother's exposure to the cold while confined in the toilet. Now let's move to our final clip.
Okay. Give me some space, dude.
Go ahead and turn.
Give me some space,
Put your hands
dude.
behind your back.
No, give me some. Ow! Oh my.
YouTuber and First Amendment auditor Joshua Roberts set out to investigate the public spaces near Dove Technologies in Florence on September 9, 2022. Two workers contacted him after discovering his recording of their workplace and voicing their displeasure. An employee took an aggressive tack, reaching for his camera and trying to take it from him. Roberts explained to them that he was acting within the law and threatened to use a taser on them if they persisted in their assault. After hearing his warning, the two workers retreated. Then one of them called for a co-worker whom she apparently refers to as her spouse, although we have no more details about this person at this time. The Florence County Sheriff's Office responded to the scene, thus he may have been connected to them.
Who are you?
You don't have my signed authorization to have my face on that camera. Turn it off.
Can I have your signed authorization? This guy's coming up aggressive, everyone. Can I help you?
No, can you help us?
Yo, get away from me, buddy.
No, dude. Who are you?
Get away from me, dude.
Why are you here?
Back the.
Why are you here?
I suggest you leave me alone.
You're on private property.
I suggest you do something about that then and get back inside.
Ooh. Really?
Yeah, really. You like going around with people like this?
You know
think
what?
That's fun? Don't touch my buddy.
One of the workers complained to management that Roberts was trespassing on company property. Roberts refuted the claim by saying he was actually on an easement. An easement is a restricted, non-possessory right of use over another person's land under South Carolina law. Neither the grantor nor the grantee may alter the location, size, or scope of the gift without the other party's consent after it's been made. A South Carolina power pole crosses the property, establishing an easement as seen in the video. Since the electric pole is considered public property, Roberts is within his rights to be near it. Since a utility easement does not instantly change into public property, the workers were also within their rights to claim the land as their own private property. The workers then called the police, who responded quickly to the building. When asked what happened, Roberts said he was assaulted and gave his version of the events.
What's going on, bud? Come in, man.
Oh, nothing. Just getting assaulted out here. That's about it.
Get assaulted?
Yeah, by one of their workers.
What happened?
I was just out here taking some pictures, and one of the guys came out here saying he didn't want to be filmed, and he ran up to me, started circling me, grabbed my camera, started pushing up on me.
A third-degree assault and battery is defined in Section 16-3600, subsection E1 of the South Carolina Code of Laws as any unlawful effort to injure another person with the current ability to do so. Willfully and deliberately destroying any type or class of personal property or another person's goods and channels is also prohibited by Section 16-11-510. Possible violations of these two laws included the employee's hostile attitude and one of them attempting to take Robert's camera, potentially with a purpose to destroy it. At some point, one of the officers started talking to the workers while the other kept talking to Roberts. It's important to point out that Roberts acted in a provocative manner the entire time they spoke. The presence of First Amendment auditors and their predisposition to be provocative has long been acknowledged by the Municipal Association of South Carolina. Therefore, authorities and officers inside the state have been given instructions on how to deal with contacts with them. The first three cops tried to handle the situation professionally, despite Roberts' provocative behavior. When Sergeant Paul Morrison joined the others, though, things began to change. Morrison claimed that he routinely kept this close proximity when interrogating a suspect, and he did so while talking to Roberts. Morrison tackled Roberts to the ground and tried to damage his camera by stomping on it without giving him any advance warning that he might be arrested. Roberts revealed video from the body camera purportedly showing Sergeant Morrison attempting to erase footage. Frustrated, Roberts said, "That's why I was trying to show him when he was all throwing me on the ground, and I'm like, at least turn off the camera." Sergeant Morrison may have attempted to alter or destroy proof of his wrongdoing. Roberts was successful in retrieving all of his videos. As a result, an internal affairs investigation was launched when he lodged a written complaint against the officer. Sergeant Morrison was forced to resign as a result of the investigation. In a statement released after the event, Sheriff T.J. Joy Lehner said that Sergeant Morrison had broken several policies. The Florence County Sheriff's Office has decided to let Sergeant Morrison go as a result. The First Amendment rights of residents and tourists of Florence County were underlined by Sheriff Lehner. The 12th Century Solicitor's Office is now in charge of the case.
Why are you giving me the face? What? What's your problem? What? Why are you giving me the finger?
The video shows an officer driving a car, but suddenly he stops because of a teen who showed him the middle finger. So what did he do actually? Why did the boy take part in such behavior? Stay tuned to the video till the end to find out.
Why are you giving me the finger? What's your problem?
Am I free to go?
No.
What, do you have a problem?
No.
Do you have a problem?
No.
Well, I have a problem, then I can leave.
Why are you giving me the finger when you're walking?
The officer gets out of the car and asks the boy exactly what is his problem. Why are you giving me the middle finger? But the boy does not react directly and instead asks whether he is free to leave. The officer refuses to let him go and questions him again about why he gave him the middle finger.
Huh? Come here. Get over here.
What?
Get over here.
Is that a lawful order?
Yeah.
For what reason?
Because you're giving me the finger.
The cop asks the boy again to come over. The boy asks him if it is a legal order, but he doesn't understand why. The officer then tells him that it is against the law for him to give the officer the finger, but the boy says that's not true. According to the law, Mr. Walker's use of the middle finger was protected speech, and he could not be arrested for making the gesture at corporal pitch.
Whatever. What?
You heard me.
Come here.
I'm afraid of you?
Come here. Get over here.
What?
Get over here.
The officer lets him go, but as the boy walks off, he again says something disrespectful to the officer.
Get over here.
I'm not doing anything illegal.
Yeah, you are. You just cursed me off.
That's not a crime.
Yes, it is.
The cop tells the boy to come over here when he calls him back. The boy then says, "I'm not breaking the law," but the cop says it is against the law because he cursed at him. The argument between the boy and the officer carries on until this happened.
Help!
No help.
Help! Help!
Yo.
Help!
When Mr. Walker begins screaming for help, the officer grabs him and puts his hands behind his back. Corporal Pritch turns his body-worn camera off and doesn't turn it back on until backup comes. It is obvious that the officer's actions, including turning off the body-worn camera, violated both state law and the Attorney General's policy.
It is legal. He's allowed to detain you until he performs his
So what am I
investigation.
doing, though? What am I doing that made him detain me? What legal right?
Every time I rode by him twice, he shot me the finger. So I turned around and said, "Well, you're
Is that a crime?
problem?"
The other officer arrives and says it's legal to detain the boy, but the boy is still arguing that it is not a crime. So the first officer explains that he has shown the middle finger twice.
He's looking at you because he's like, what the fuck do you want me to do? Because it's not a crime. I know my rights.
Who are you?
I don't have to say any of that.
You do if you're being detained.
For what reason?
What?
The boy then asks the officers who have just come, "What's the legal reason I'm being held? Where is this coming from, and what's the legal reason?" Michael James LaMontagne arrives on the scene and informs the boy is required to identify himself because he is being detained, despite the fact that he cannot provide a legal justification for the detention. However, New Jersey lacks a stop and identify statute that specifically requires Mr. Walker to identify himself, and courts have determined that New Jersey's obstruction statute cannot be applied to individuals who refuse to identify themselves to police.
Why are you shooting me the finger? Why are you...
Is that illegal?
Why are you flipping the bird? Yes, it is. When you are cursing in public, you are causing a public disturbance. You're being a nuisance to the public.
The second officer asserts that the boy must identify himself. The officer goes on to explain that it is forbidden to curse in public because you're causing a public disturbance and being a nuisance to the public. In what way? When he was driving by. It's called calls from a public disturbance, and it doesn't mean you've been charged with anything. You're being detained at that point.
What reason does he need to detain you?
He thought maybe he thought you were signaling him down. Were you signaling to him?
No,
Listen, I was
no, you knew very well that I wasn't signaling him, right? I wasn't signaling him.
You bring attention to yourself.
That's not signaling.
You're acting strange. I'm making sure you're okay.
Dude, that's so funny. Like, you're not here for my safety. You're not trying to protect me.
How do you know? You're walking on the side of the road, and you're cursing and you're flipping the bird.
The boy asks again for what reason he's being detained, and they all start arguing.
Do you know him? Do you know him?
It's not your business. I plead the fifth. I plead the fifth then. What's the First Amendment for?
Okay. The First Amendment is for your freedom of speech. Okay.
Okay.
What does that have to do with
Was I making a call
gestures?
to action? Am I calling for an action to be done against you? No.
Do you understand
You're
that
bringing
it is?
attention to yourself and
Listen.
That's illegal.
It's.
The boy asks for his First Amendment, and the officer explains it.
So I don't legally need to hold anything in court.
Well, I want to know from your perspective.
I pulled up onto the scene, so you tell me what you were doing.
Bring your attention. I plead the fifth. You idiot. How long have you been a cop? 6?
Longer than you. Listen.
Longer than you? I'm not a cop.
I don't understand what the point of this is.
The boy asks for the perspective of another cop.
Now what happens?
He just admitted that
now
he
what
was going
happens
to
is when
arrest
he
me.
gives you a lawful order to stop, and you do not stop.
It wasn't a lawful order, though.
And you do not stop.
It legally was not a lawful order.
You do not stop, then that becomes a criminal offense, and then yes, you can be put under
But
arrest.
it's not a lawful order. Then I take it to court, and then he'd get sued, and I get punitive damages. I'd be rich. Is that what you want?
You don't know the law. That may be what happens.
You don't know the law.
That's gonna happen.
The boy laughs at what the officer says and then says he just admitted he gives you a lawful order to stop and you don't do it. It wasn't all Florida, though, and you do it legally. That becomes a criminal offense, and then yes, you can be put under, but it's not a lawful order. Then I take it to court, and then he gets sued, and I get millions in damages. I'd be rich is what you wanted. The officer stated that the Fourth Amendment was not violated in this case since no seizure happened. Mr. Walker, the boy, was not arrested. However, as the Supreme Court explained in the infamous 1968 decision of Terry v. Ohio, the Fourth Amendment guarantees the right of the people to be safe in their persons, homes, papers, or belongings against unreasonable searches and seizures. However, it is clear that Mr. Walker was captured when Corporal Pritch, the officer, made physical contact with him in order to prevent him from fleeing. However, it is also quite likely that a judge would determine that Mr. Walker was detained for Fourth Amendment purposes when Corporal Pritch first ordered him to stop and he accepted.
That may be what's going to happen. It may not be what happens. Okay?
Okay, I
what may
understand.
happen is,
All right, so what are we wasting time for?
Jury,
Am I free to go?
What may happen is you may get a normal jury. No, because at this point you were detained, okay, because he told you to stop and you didn't stop. Okay. So therefore, you need to identify yourself as a part of the investigation. So what is your name?
Okay, I'm going to need all of your badge numbers.
I will give you everything written down on a card. What is your name?
I could give you...
If you have an ID, that's perfect.
Okay, I'll take it to court because this is still a detainment.
Are you a juvenile?
This is an illegal detainment.
Are you a juvenile?
I'm not going to answer that.
The teenager asks if he is free to leave, but the officer says no because he is detained. He must identify himself as a participant in the investigation. The boy becomes more aware of his surroundings and informs them that he intends to take off all the badge numbers. The officer responds that everything will be written down on a card, but the boy believes it is still entertaining.
Okay.
Well, I'm going to take a lawsuit. So who would I press criminal charges against?
For what? You're going to have to call. You're going to have to call and figure that out with a lawyer. You would have to file a complaint with the courts.
Got it.
Okay, and then you can go from there if you want to see if you can press charges and whatnot if we're violating your rights.
Appreciate it.
Okay.
Stay out of the roadway. Don't give us fingers.
Shut the f*** up.
Stay out of the roadway. Stop causing a public alarm.
Dude, shut the f*** up. Am I free to go?
Cursing, okay?
Well, I'm going to take a lawsuit. So who would I press criminal charges against?
For what? You're going to have to. You're going to have to call. You're going to have to call and figure that out with a lawyer.
The boy asked the lawyer to prove them wrong legally about how he was making a disturbance. The officer tells him that for further investigation, he'll have to call and talk to a lawyer about that. If your rights have been violated, you have to make a complaint with the courts. From there, you can decide if you want to press charges or do other things.
You're free to go.
Stop cursing. Go.
You're free to.
When the officers let him go free, Mr. Walker left from there without causing any further incident. After the incident, less information was known, so we don't know what they did as per the investigation.